Hello there, in this video we are going to start the tutorial series to create your own custom panel for your rigs. And basically what you are seeing right now is what you are going to get in the end. So we're gonna have this panel for bone collection, so you can hide the collections of bones that you already have set up, separating from arms and legs, FK and IK, of course. We're gonna also have this IK FK switching panel where we can change the behavior from IK to FK, and this is also separated by arms and legs. And at last we also have this isolate rotation panel, which gives us the ability to, let me move this guy here, for example. We have that the head's looking at that direction. If I bring it up, well, the neck first and then the head, now it looks up. But basically this here is already built in the rig, so if your rig has these kind of functionalities, you're gonna be able to bring those functionalities to your custom panel. So to make things a little bit easier, we are not going to actually create the rig, we are just going to create the panel. So all the functionalities are already there in the rig. That's basically what we are gonna have at the end. So if you would like to see how it's done, stick with me and let's go. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Well, first of all, we need to grab the D-Rex model, and to do that we have to go to the link down in the description. You're gonna see there's a link for this model here that's going to bring you to CG Trader, and this character is completely free, so you don't have to worry about it. As you can see, it is native for Blender 4.1, so if you are using 4.1 or later versions, it should be fine. The only thing you need to do is to press the free download button, and then it's going to load a little bit, so we just need to wait. After it finished, the only thing that we need is the drex.blend right here. So you download this one and you're good to go. But if you want to check out all the other files, you can download them as well. It's all up to you. Alright, so basically this is how it's going to be in the beginning. You're not gonna have the panel here, and one thing that you're gonna notice is that in the root bone, this guy here, there are a lot of custom properties, and these custom properties are the properties that guide the functionality of the rig. So that's basically it. Now if you have it, one thing that we need to do first of all is to go to the scripting tab actually, and then here is where we are going to work on our custom panel. But before that, we are gonna go to edit, preferences, and we are gonna go to editing, if I'm not mistaken, text editor, and we are going to toggle this auto close character pairs on. All right, now that we have it, things are gonna be a little bit easier for us, so we can close it and go back to our scripting tab. First of all, what we are gonna do is to set up the skeleton of the custom panel, and for that the main and first thing that we need to do is to create a new text data block. And there we go. And now let's give it a name, like, since this one is gonna be called D-Rex, well actually that's the name of the model, so this is D-Rex rig UI.py, just to let Blender and all the editors know that this is a Python script. So gonna press enter, and that's all good to go. All right, now that we have it, what we are gonna need to do is to set up the skeleton. The first thing that we need to do in every script inside of Blender is to import the Blender library, so the Blender module, so BPY. So there we go. And with that, we are already set to use Blender functionalities. And now, to make things a little bit easier for us, after we get the skeleton, we are going to create some global properties here, and I'm gonna call it panel properties. By the way, if you use this hashtag sign, this is going to be a comment, so it's not run. And here I'm going to put armature name. This is going to be where you're gonna put your armature name. And this armature name, as we can see, the armature name is dRex, like that. So let's just write it down here. And after that, we want another variable that's gonna be called panel name. This is the name that's going to be shown here at the sidebar. So we have this tool view. This is basically what's going to be shown here. So this one, I'm going to call it dRex rig. That's going to be the name of the panel. So now, to actually create these panels, we are going to create classes to represent them. And those classes, they are basically going to be, as we saw in the beginning, we are gonna have a class for the collections panel, we're gonna have a class for the IKFK panel, and at last a class for the isolate rotation panel. And then we're going to do something here like this. So I'm gonna call it rig because we are dealing with rig, PT for panel, and then I'm going to add the name of the panel, which is going to be collections panel, like this. And for it to be seen as a panel, we need to inherit something from our BPY module. So BPY types panel, that's what we need. Then here we add the colon sign, and let's add a documentation for our class. Basically, a documentation is a doc string or anything like that, is like 3 pairs of quotes. It doesn't matter which one, it can be single quotes or double quotes. And here we're gonna add the doc string that is this class it's going to represent. So it's a class that represents the collections panel. There we go. And then now we are gonna start with some how can I say, some class variables for this panel to tell Blender where and what to call it. First of all, we're gonna have this BL label, and this is the name that's going to be shown at the top of the panel. For example, this one, we have the transforms, this transform panel. This is the name that would be here. So this one, since we are dealing with bone collections, we're gonna put it here, bone collections. There we go. And just so we don't forget, let's add a comment. So hashtag again, name that will show on the top of the panel. There we go. Right, now the second one that we are gonna add is BL space type. And this is basically where this is going to be shown in Blender. And since we want it to be shown in the 3D view, we are going to put it here, view 3D, like this. So it's going to be shown in the view 3D. If you want to see all the places that you want to put it, you can always take a look at the Blender documentation. They have it there and explaining all the possible options that you would have to put it to put in here. But in this case, we're gonna use View 3D because we want it to be seen in the View 3D. So again, let's add here comment so we don't forget where this panel will be drawn. Okay, and for the next one, we have BL region type. This one is basically where in the View 3D that we want it to be seen. And since we want it to be seen in the sidebar, we are gonna use here UI. Well, I don't know why this would be UI instead of sidebar written here, but this is in the documentation, so I'm just following it. So if you want to see all the combinations, link down in the description with the documentation for this one as well. So another comment here, we are going to set it to be drawn in the side panel, sidebar, side panel, it doesn't really matter. We used to call it end panel, but there we go. And then at last we want the name that's going to be shown here, and since we set it up here, we are going to put BL category. That's the name that we are going to put is the panel name that we set up here. So basically, if you're gonna have multiple panels and you want to change the name of this category in this tab, you simply need to come up here and change it, and then it's going to change for all the other panels. Since we're gonna have 3 different panels, this is a pretty good thing to do. It saves you time. So let's add here a comment. Set the name of the tab shown in the side panel. Alright, that's all good. And at last, for this class to be complete-ish, well, at least the skeleton of it, we're going to create a method which is using this keyword def for define draw, and inside this draw function we are going to pass the parameters self because it is a class method, and context, which is going to get the context in which Blender is being run right now. Okay, colon, and then let's add here a doc string, so 3 double quotes, 3 pairs of double quotes actually, and let's write it. So draw the UI elements on the collections panel. So this is basically what this method is going to do. This is the one supposed to draw the elements that we see on the screen. And since we are not going to draw anything at least not at the moment, we are going to write this pass keyword so it works just fine. Okay, so this way we have the skeleton for the first panel. Now let's create the other 2 panels, which is going to be the IKFK panel. So let's create here a class rig again, PT for panel, and then what it does, it's IKFK and it's a panel. And we also need to inherit from the BPY types dot panel. There we go. And again, we're gonna need to use something that's similar to this one, so let's just select everything and then copy it down here. And also let's not forget to add a doc string. So there we go, this one is a class that represents the IKFK switch panel. There we go. And give it a little bit of space. And this one is the IKFK switch panel. So let's change the label to be something that is understandable. So in this case, I'm going to put it IKFK. Let's put it slash IKFK switch. That's it. And the other things, they're basically going to be the same because we want them all to be placed at the same place as this other panel up here. And for the draw, it's basically the same thing, so we can simply grab it and copy it down here. So there we go. And let's change, draw the UI elements, but this time on the IKFK switch panel. There we go. And for the last one, we can simply copy this down here and make the changes again. Whoops, didn't I copy it? So Ctrl C, put it there. Okay, and then let's change the name of this one for isolate rot for rotation panel. So it's a class that represents the isolate rotation panel. And this one is going to be, let's put it here, the label for isolate rotation. There we go. Draw the elements, the UI elements, but this time on the isolate rotation panel. Nice. Now we already have something that could be a skeleton for our custom panel, but it's still, even if I run this, it's not going to show me any errors because it's correct. But we are not doing anything with it. We simply defined how it looks, but we didn't call it yet. So for that, we first we need to register all these classes for Blender to know that they exist. And for that, we are going to create this time a function. This is outside of any class, and so we call it a function, and it is going to be called register. And this one, we don't need any parameters. It's all fine like that. Then colon and docstring, just so we have it written here what is the purpose of this function. And the purpose of this function is going to be to register all the classes that are going to be used. That's basically it. And to register these classes, we are going to use this function here, which is bpy, the module that we had up there, .utils, .register underline class. And then we are going to pass the name of the, we are actually going to pass the class and that we want to register. So in this case, it's going to be rig collections panel. That's it. And now we can simply Ctrl D to duplicate it 2 times, and then we simply need to change the name. Oops, so this is not rig collection, it's a rig pt collections. So don't forget that. This one also has this pt, and the same for this one down here, but then we're gonna change the names. This one is gonna be the IKFK, and this one is going to be the isolate rot that we created just up here. All right, now that we have all the classes registered, we also need some means to unregister those classes when we are not using the panels any longer. So we need to create another function that this time is going to be called Unregister. And again, we don't need to pass any parameters, so colon, and let's add the doc string. And this doc string is pretty similar to the other one. It's unregister all the classes since they are not going to be used anymore. That's basically the purpose of this function. And in here we are going to use the same idea that we had here, but this time we are simply going to add a un here. So we change it to unregister, and that's basically what we need to do. Okay, so now that we have the register and unregister functions, we are going to call them, and for that we are going to use this guy here. So if name underline underline, it's a double underline, so underline underline, name underline underline again, equal equal, double quotes, underline underline, name underline underline again, colon, and register. So basically, if this here is the main file, this is going to be called when we run the script. And now we have it all done and set up to be tested. So basically what it's going to do is going to call this register function that is going to register all the classes that we have up here. And then when we close Blender, or when we don't need this script anymore, automatically this unregister function is going to be called. So let's test it out. First thing that we need to do is simply click this play button. So we play it, and we should see here a Drex tab. When we click it, we are not gonna see anything fancy yet, because we simply created the placeholder for the panels for the UI elements that we are going to draw in the next video. So if you liked it so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. So I'll see you there. Bye.